Boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the SNS podcast.
Sir.
Maybe we should put this back on, put this out on Spotify. I'll see what I can do about it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to look into that too. Um,
Mm.
a few people have said that we need to start looking into Spotify. So I don't think it's hard, I think we just need to have
Yeah,
at
just
least
upload
like,
something. I haven't actually looked into it.
yeah, it's like have
Shouldn't be hard.
2 or 3 like episodes to
Mm.
show that we're like serious about it and then just put it out there. Let's see where the chips fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
nice.
All right.
All right,
So,
so today's episode topic, is about relationships. Last week we did relationships as well, but this time it's more of a personal focus, more of a romance relationship focus. So a one-on-one relationship rather than your relationship with a blanket category of people in
yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Right before we were recording, SK and I were having a little chit chat, half an hour chit chat about our own little relationships in our lives
That's the
and what
usual
we've
length.
learned.
minimum,
Mm.
minimum, minimum sort of chit chat length is our minimum catch up is half an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah, miss me with that 29-minute bullshit. It's
Yeah,
30
yeah, yeah.
minutes or nothing.
30 minutes are nothing, bro. Like if it's not getting deep, I don't want to know. Like, why are we even friends at
Speaking
that
of
point?
getting deep.
We're about. Oh yeah, dude. We are about to get deep. We're about to get deep. We go deep, not wide. I learned that from Taekwondo. So shout out to Taekwondo for anyone else who watches him. So let's get into it. I think
Mm.
okay. Let me sort of set the tone then. Seeing as well, you're in a relationship. I would say I'm not in a relationship, but I have
But
learned
hopefully you're about to be.
in time. I think with time and with
How long do I have
the
to
right.
wait?
Well, they say good things come to those who wait, right?
Mm.
That's apparently what the expression says. I think with a little stroke of luck and a lot of actually, it's more to do with very having a present state of mind, as well as being just very deliberate about your actions, your intentions, and just being sincere and authentic. So, like like we said in the previous episode, it does carry over, but on a more interpersonal relationship, specifically, like a romantic, if it's trying to build a romantic thing, the the th- the thing that I found was you've got to be friends first. And with that being said, I recently went on like a date just on Friday, and this girl that I spoke to, who I met, she is honestly unlike any person I have met before.
I'm not like the other girls.
I'm not like the other girls, right? And she didn't even have to. This is the thing. She didn't even have to say it. I was just like, I know there's something about you because aside from put all the physicality aside, right? Okay, yeah, pretty eyes, pretty face, like nice waist, all that stuff is great. It's wonderful, but there will come a time where, I mean, say looks fade. You can do as much as you want to preserve your looks, but if you don't have the intelligence, if you don't have the emotional connection with that person, then you're essentially just like two husks, just orbiting each other. So,
Mm.
this girl and I won't like go into the gory details, especially in case she is gonna watch this later on.
Ah, she will watch this.
Oh,
Maybe not today,
yeah, maybe
but
not today.
sometime.
Sometime in the future, she'll be like, "Hey," you imagine like a year from now, we're just like sat up on the couch together, and she's just like,
Hey,
"Hey,
babe,
yeah,
who's that guy that you talk to every weekend?
yeah, who's that guy you talk to? That spear guy in relationships. Oh, I want to know what you had to say. Wait, you knew we were gonna get into a relationship?" And I'm gonna be like, "Huh?" Maybe. but no, I mean, being deliberate, right? So I went into it with a very open and honest mind. I was just completely transparent. And like a lot of people in like the dating scene, especially on YouTube, like the red pill coaches out there who are like, never let a woman know your true intentions. Never be
I'm not sure I've
Open
actually
and
heard any coach said that.
oh, dude, wow, it's more like never. It always comes from, I come from like a place of being guarded in that sense, right? Never play, like, reveal your hand or reveal your, like, your true motives or whatever it is. Like, you've always got to just like run this algorithm of being like, you know, the slick Tyrone, just like sliding through everything,
Through the DMs.
through the DMs, through the face to face interacts, and then through her pants and all that stuff. And then I thought, you know what, with this type of interaction, because from I already had an idea that, like, okay, this girl's got more, she's got substance to her. So at the very minimum, what I can do to just show like respect to that is just be upfront and honest about what I want. And I was. And she was also upfront and honest about how she felt. And she was just saying, like, it's like it's so easy to just jump into a relationship. And and then we spoke a little bit about that, like, okay, yeah, I've done it before, literally I've been in relationships where it's ended, and then within like 2 weeks to a month I'm in a new relationship. It's like, how do you have enough time to recover from that, to heal from that? And I realized that with me specifically, I've always been in a position where I'm never quite fully whole, and then I'd end up getting into a relationship expecting the other person to complete me. And I was very, very, like, pleasantly surprised. I was actually blown away when, you know, she and I both agreed that, like, I've been on self-improvement for like almost 2 years now, you know, give, give or take, without, before I even actually knew that I was on it. I was just doing the procedure, and she's been doing something very similar, just taking care of herself, putting herself first, right? And we both came to the conclusion that instead of expecting the other person to complete you, you put yourself first, make yourself whole, so that by the time that you meet someone you truly connect with, if a relationship does form from that, you enter that relationship in a healthy state where you are both two, like, whole entities that synergize together, as opposed to two, codependent parties expecting the other to complete each other, where you are just taking from each other, like we said, right? You just
Yeah,
take, you
we were
take, you
talking about
take.
this right before.
Exactly. And it's just like, it makes sense to me now. Whereas before it was like, oh yeah, well, I give, you take, or you take, I take, and if we both take, then we both get. But it's like, no, that's not how it works, because what you're doing essentially is you're stripping away the very, like, essence and fabric of each other's beings. You're taking away your
Mm.
primary, secondary, and even tertiary, like, abilities to give to that relationship. Your reserves run dry. Next thing you know, the foundations are gone, and then it's only a matter of time before one person crumbles, and then that's it. Your whole castle just comes down. Relationship over. Boom, kaput. And then you're wondering what went
Yeah,
wrong. And then it's like rinse and repeat again. But
yeah. Move on to the next relationship.
move on to the next one and just
Break
hope.
up. 2 days later, get into another relationship. Few months down the road, break up again. 2 weeks
Yeah,
later, another relationship.
yeah. It's just like a Hail
Yeah.
Mary of relationships. But with this interaction I had with this particular girl, I was like, I almost felt like I was talking to myself in a sense, because it was like everything that I said about, I put myself first, my physical health, my mental health, my state of, like, spirituality, meditation. I have rituals that I do, and she was like, "Yep, same." I was like, "Wow, okay, cool. Um, Tell me more." And she did, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, we were like literally on the same page in essence. Even when it came to our backgrounds, like from childhood, you know, very similar backgrounds, very similar sort of relationships we have with our parents, the types of bonds and connections we've made. I would say, in terms of dating, when we learned a bit about her dating history, she's had a much healthier uh, history than I have. But again, we all go on on our separate journeys, and it's up to us on how we move from that, how we learn from that, if we choose to learn from that. And that's what lands us in the next position. So I was very pleased and very just taken aback by this interaction, because I honestly, hand on heart, did not know what to expect. I have not been on a date. I don't really go out that much with like with people that I just happen to meet. I'm a social butterfly in essence, but I don't actually go out that much. So this was
Mm.
so pleasant for me to actually be able to see that there's another person who is on the same sort of wavelength as I am, because I've just been surrounded by the whole, you know, toxic, like men are bad and toxic masculinity this and entitled women that. And I have been on dates before, and I've been in relationships with girls before who with either just like, it's not even like they were bad people. I don't believe that there's such a thing as bad people, but it was like they would they would say one thing and their actions just would not match up. Now, what makes me believe that this girl is different? Well, it's even like the way we communicate.
Mm.
She stated that she's not looking for anything, and she's not like codependent, and the way that
Yeah.
we interact matches that, because like my phone isn't getting blown up by her 24/7 when we do like text and everything. It's like short succinct messages with that also look like there's been a level of effort and thought put into it. And then
Yeah.
there's
It's not just like
also,
one word responses.
yeah, lol, k, haha, and it's like I've literally just told you like my whole like breakdown of what I've done for the day, and you're gonna reply with hee hee, okay, lol. Like, no, I get I get like articulate, structured, almost like feedback. And bro, I'm loving it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm loving it. I was just like, whoa, I'm actually having a
Mm.
conversation with someone. That's just crazy. Imagine that, the simple fact that you're conversing and engaging with someone. And that's just insane. Insane in the sense that it should be something that we as people should be able to naturally do, but so few people actually engage and are very present of mind when they're engaging.
Yeah. And I reckon that's why social media. I really think social media as a whole is a scourge. Well, like, we're old enough that so we're both roughly 27. That when we grew up as infants, there wasn't a Facebook, there wasn't an Instagram or a TikTok. We had CRT TVs. If you guys know what we're talking about, that those it's like these days the monitors TVs are like this thin. Back in the
Yeah,
day, they were like wide boys, thick boys. It goes all the way to the back.
big
Like
chunky
we grew up
motherfuckers.
in, yeah, we didn't have Netflix on demand. We had to like go to the Video Easy or Blockbusters
Blockbuster, bro.
and like
Yeah.
and physically rent a tape. I'm quite grateful I grew up in that stage where we didn't have just like everything flip up on demand, on demand, on demand. So we're constantly scrolling. Not that I'm perfect and infallible. I'm on my phone a fair bit. I do have like I have a Facebook account. I don't really spend much time on it. I really just keep Messenger on my phone so that I can chat with people, not the Facebook app itself. Don't have Instagram. I do spend a fair bit of time on YouTube. But I see so many people, they're glued to their phones, whether it's even on a date, even in front of you, they're like, "Oh, yeah."
Oh,
They're
that's
more
another thing.
about living the life they're living their social media life rather
Yeah.
than living real life. They'll be
Yeah.
filming the event rather than being in the event.
Dude, and that was another thing with like this girl. I could actually count the amount of times she picked up a phone, and
Mm.
it was literally like twice. That was it. It was just both of those times was to check the time. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. This person is here right now. there's a sense of respect
Mm.
to the time that
Being
you spend.
engaged, mindful in the moment, being present
100%.
with you
100%.
feels amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing, and it's like on a larger level, on a larger scale, it's almost it's like it's amazing because on a one-to-one scale, like, oh wow, like I feel like this person is respecting the time that I have also taken to spend with them. And this like space that we've created is like we're both pouring into this pot, as opposed to, oh, okay, well, I don't really care what you put into it. I'm just here for like because I'm here, you know. Um,
Mm.
but like on a larger
I'm
scale,
here
it's
for my
almost,
free lunch, or I'm free for my piece of entertainment.
yeah, pretty much. Oh, I was bored, had nothing else to do. But like on a larger scale, it's kind of sad because there's so many people who just don't operate that way. And
Yeah,
the frightening thing is there's so many people who are in these relationships which are more like dysfunctional business arrangements almost. You know, it's like, okay, you like you have a bit of social status, or you know, you have money or whatever. I get some free clout. I get to ride the clout train. I get a free lunch. I get a free meal. And you know what? You know what's really surprising? It's not always the guys who are the ones being exploited. Like I've seen girls who are getting exploited by bum dudes, like good for nothing, jobless, fucking bums, and they're just there like, yeah, well, you know, and it's like, see, you can't even like string together an articulate sentence to explain what you're doing. You're just there like, yeah, because you're so devoid of mindfulness and presence. And the sad reality is that when that relationship, or if that relationship rather, gets to a point where kids then get brought into the picture, you're raising the next generation based off dysfunctionality.
yeah. If you're dysfunctional yourself, you can't raise functional kids. I
Absolutely not.
That's what I truly believe.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry.
You good, bro? That coffee kicking in now,
Yeah, choking on my coffee,
huh?
my $90 coffee.
That's insane. This man goes and buys $90 premium coffee.
Not per cup, per kilo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
per kilo.
the coffee industry, like, okay, I know this is the self improvement podcast, not the coffee podcast. But actually, coffee producers are being exploited a lot. Like they're not being paid a fair price. That's why we can afford. That's why we can even have on the supermarket shelves cheap, dirt cheap coffee. That's like what, $10 a kilo, or even cheaper in some cases.
Yeah, fair
That's not a
trade
fair
laws.
price for the farmers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still
And
not
and
that
also
fair.
that tends to be, yes, I'm being a snob. I'm looking down on you the audience. It also just doesn't taste great. Like once you have the slightly nicer stuff, the old stuff doesn't taste that good. I remember, I think it was what, Colton or someone who said, "Oh no, I just drink Folgers."
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that shit? I don't even know what that is, bro.
It's some just absolute
Some dog
ass.
water, like
Yeah, just like dark, bitter.
the type of shit that they empty like the coffee shavings out of the machine, and they just make some little like swill out of that, and
Yeah.
they serve that up.
They use like the lowest. That's why they're so cheap, because they can have the low quality stuff. That they roast it to a crisp, and it just comes out bitter, undrinkable.
Yeah,
Okay, but some people love that undrinkable taste, and more power to them.
yeah.
But anyways, more back on topic. We were talking about this beforehand, where if both of you come as independent people, so I'm on my path, you're on your path. We just happen to be sharing the same length of road. Whether that length of road takes us all the way to our graves, or whether halfway through our roads they fork, they split apart. Either way, when we're sharing this road, we're sharing each other's company. but I'm still on my journey, you're still on your journey, not the other way around. It's not like, oh, I'll forget my journey to be on your journey,
Mm,
and vice versa. And that way, we can, when you're in such a relationship, you amplify each other's strengths, and then you make up for each other's weaknesses.
yeah.
Whereas on the other end, if you are relying on each other for your source of entertainment, your source of opinion, source of everything, so that you are no longer a independent one person. Let me rephrase that. You're no longer an independent person. And you might start your relationship as an independent person, but over time you let yourself go, they let themselves go. And so you just end up being two codependent pieces of mess, where as soon as one person leaves or disappears, even for a short amount of time, you don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, oh, normally I'd be sitting on the couch watching Netflix with my partner, but she's not there anymore. What do I do with my life?
Yeah, I've been there
And then
before,
to
man.
take it to the extreme, if there is a breakup, there's like, oh, what do I do with my life? Where is my life? My whole life has been revolving around my partner. Now that there is no partner, who am I? What am I? Those existential questions come into play. And, you know, we do this too. But a lot of people subconsciously expect the partner to be a complete product. I want to date the complete product, the finished product, the perfect person. I want Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. But at the same time, they allow themselves to be a work in progress. It's like, oh no, I'm still improving. I'm still working on myself. Don't judge me too hard. Why is there that double standard? Well, we know why there's that double standard. It's part of our ego. But a lot of people don't realize they have this double standard, that they allow themselves to have the freedom to mess up, but expect the other person to be perfect, such that where there is something that goes wrong, you end up going, oh, you're not perfect anymore. I'm going to break up with you, or I'm going to find someone better. And yeah, you probably will find someone better. There's like what? How many people on Earth now? A couple billion.
Yeah,
Chances
give or
of
take.
that, give or take a person here or there. The chances of you meeting the perfect person for you is slim to none.
Yeah,
But
I
you don't
think
have to
it's
settle
actually
for it.
zero.
Yeah, statistically zero.
Yeah,
You're never going to meet everyone on Earth. You're only going to meet a couple thousand, 10,000 at most, usually. Not even close to a
yeah,
million,
s-
1 billion.
something like that. Yeah, and that's even if you are like someone who's like a high flying like multi-millionaire like CEO or whatever. You know, you could be all over the place. You still won't meet. You probably meet more people than the average person does, but you're still not gonna even put a dent in the meeting the Earth's population.
Mm.
Um,
It's a little drop in the ocean.
literally, literally.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean it's like, oh, I'm not meeting Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, so I'm not going to care. In fact, quite the opposite. Don't let good be the enemy of great, or however that quote goes.
Yeah,
You're still
I
allowed
know what you mean.
to, yeah, you're still allowed to, and you should put your best foot forward. Speaking of putting your best foot forward, I think for a lot of relationships, they start out that way. I put my best foot forward, you put your best foot forward, we meet, it's like, oh, that person's great. And they think the same of you. Like they say, first impressions are lasting impressions. But it's quite tiring putting your best foot forward all the damn time, which is why it's very important to be, like you said, to be authentic, to be real, to know what you want and to say as much. Because if you present yourself as this, let's say, very rich, very well put together, lots of assets kind of person, but in reality, the car that you drive, you bought it on finance. The food, the clothes that you buy them on credit card, and you're struggling to make repayments. On the outside, you look rich, well put together. On the inside, your finances are holding on by a thread. In that case, how long are you going to keep that up? How long can you keep that up? You can't. not for a long time, a week, a month, maybe a year. But at some point, as that relationship progresses, as they, let's say, they move in with you, they start being not just themselves. I know earlier I said be two independent people amplifying each other, but I think it's inevitable that some part of you will bleed into them, some part of them will bleed into you, so
Yeah.
that you take on elements of each other. Like, at what point do you fess up and say, actually, this car's on finance, all of my clothes are on finance, I got nothing to my name? And at that point, the relationship that I know we're using money as an example, but could be literally anything. At that point, the trust, the so-called trust in the relationship that you've built, it was built on lies. And when those lies are discovered, what happens? People will start reevaluating. Like, for example, let's say, I don't know, let's go with that example that I buy a nice car on finance, I buy nice clothes on finance, everything's on finance. And then I keep that facade up until 2 years later, for whatever reason, suddenly, let's say I win the lotto or I make it big somehow, and I actually am rich, so that my current person aligns with my image. But if later down the line they discover, oh, you weren't actually rich when we met, it doesn't affect the relationship now. Like, it doesn't change anything. Who you were 5 years ago doesn't affect who you. Sorry, it does affect who you are now, but it shouldn't affect any future interactions. And yet, as humans, we think, well, that person was lying 5 years ago. Did they lie about anything else? What else are they lying about right now? And so
That's
all
right.
of that will eventually crumble, which is
Right.
why it's so important, like you said, to be authentic from day one.
100%. I
To
was just
put
about to
up,
say
to
that.
not put up with bullshit. If she does or anyone does something that you don't like, you don't put up with it for the sake of, for the sake of relationship. I love her and all that. No, because if you don't put up sorry, if you don't put a stop to it, they're going to think, oh, this behavior is normal, this behavior is okay. And then if you end up bottling it up, sooner or later that bottle of emotion, that bottle of resentment, of anger, it explodes. And then they'll be caught off guard. It's like, what do you mean you never said anything about it? What do you mean you don't like it when I do this?
Yeah. I mean, dude, like this is why like I say this openly. I'll say this to anybody. I will treat you the same way that you treat me. Okay, but in the context of putting your best foot forward, I mean, again, I treat people with respect. You know, I'll smile. I'll be courteous. I'll be cordial. You know, I always start off as friendly, but if the person isn't as receptive, then I'll keep things cordial because again, I would like to be treated the same way that I would treat you, right? But one thing that I will be so firm on now, especially more than ever, because I've learned from being on the receiving end of that and not doing anything when it mattered most, is tolerating disrespect and allowing people to sort of like walk all over me or get the wrong idea of me and then take me for granted. Because again, you talk about, you know, in order to put your best foot forward, you also need to you need to be the best for yourself. And this is another thing that I've realized about how I've like attracted this girl into my life, right? Or how I've attracted various individuals into my life. It's the type of person that I am now is very different to the person that I was before. Looking at my previous relationships, and in order to attract your ultimate person, to attract your complete package, you need to be the complete package yourself. It is like mathematically incorrect to say that, you know, if we want to work on a ratio of 1 for 1, how can you be zero point 0.5 and then expect 1 as a return value? It does not make sense. You cannot be a fragment or an incomplete package but then expect the perfect package to be mirrored to you, right? And
Hmm.
this is why I say that there's like a 0% chance that you'll meet the perfect person, because as human beings, we are not perfect. Like, I'm imperfect. Everybody in this world has got some level of insecurity. That alone makes them imperfect. But it's how you deal with them that decides how you are treated by other people and how you treat yourself, most importantly, which is what you attract in other people, which then brings that whole circle of, the package in quotation marks to sort of like complete, right? To completion. So, that's definitely a big learning point for me when it comes to relationships, and even establishing a grounds for the potential of a relationship to sort of prosper from that, instead of saying, hey, I like you, let's dive, let's literally nosedive, just pin the throttle and push the stick down and just go straight into the fucking ocean of what could be. How's about we coast, maintain the same altitude here. I don't know where this analogy just came from, but it's like, you maintain the same sort of speed together, and you have a look. You get to sort of get a feel for each other, and the best way to do that is just to be straight with intention. That I say that all the time. But in order to have the best experience, you need to become the best experience. Like I know for a fact that um if I for example was like fronting or pretending, or like if I was basically the guy who had like the lavish car and the lavish lifestyle, but I'm really living on credit, then that would be something that sits in the back of my mind, which for me, I know personally, it'd be very hard for me to mask because I wouldn't be able to be present with the other person. And the thing is, people can tell when you're not being fully present with them, when you're not there, like actively listening, when you're not intentionally, you know, showing attention, when you're just constantly thinking about something in the background. You've got all these background processes running and you're focusing on them, but you're just there like staring blankly at the other person while they're talking, and they just have that this glazed look on your face, and then they'll be like, okay, this person really doesn't seem interested, I'm just going to stop talking. And then it's like you try and make a regain from that. Well, by that time it's already too late because you've shown a lack of interest for whatever reason. So yeah, just authenticity and put the work in to be your best version of yourself, and that's how you will attract, you know
Yeah.
whatever it
I
is you're
want
looking
to
for.
talk about earlier you said you should be the complete package. I don't necessarily see it that way, or perhaps we have the same point, just expressing it in two different ways.
Okay.
I don't think anyone is the complete package. Like you said yourself, you're a different person than you were just last year. You probably will be an even better person in next year. So, which means by definition, you're not the complete package. If next year you're a better version, and the year after you're an even better person, so you won't be the complete version. So rather like that mathematical ratio, instead of being 0.5 and expecting a 1, perhaps you're a zero point 0.8 and you're expecting the other person to be roughly a zero point 0.8 as well. So that there is always room for growth. As long as you're with someone who is on a similar wavelength, who is on the same or at least a very similar path as yours. You wouldn't be it wouldn't make sense for you to be all about the self-improvement and etc, and the lifestyle that goes with that, and then you'd be with someone who is all about self-indulgence, all about uh, instant gratification. That just doesn't mesh very well, even if initially there is like surface level attraction. Those two lifestyles, we're talking stereotypically, those two lifestyles don't really mesh together. It doesn't really make sense because they are in some ways polar opposites.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if, let's say, we should do delayed gratification. Let's say, oh, let's not watch Netflix on the couch tonight. Let's go to the gym. Let's go for a walk. Whereas she wants the opposite. She just wants to lay down and binge on Netflix. Feels great to be not doing anything, to be relaxing. But if you're always relaxing, that just becomes your new state of being. So that it's no longer relaxing. It's just being. And then you need to find something even more quote unquote relaxing. Like what's relaxing? If all you do is watch Netflix, Netflix is no longer relaxing. It's just, oh, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
And you'll need to find something that's even more brain numbing.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. You set like the precedent on how you like. I use like like the operating system. You know, you choose like it's
Mm,
almost it's almost like upgrading or downgrading your software, and it's it's based on the small habits. So like another thing, a topic that we like, this girl and I covered, which was like the non-negotiables, the deal breakers in terms of just like what what is it that we have identified within ourselves that we know if it wasn't mirrored back or reciprocated in kind would be like an boom, like an absolute no fly zone. We're popping smoke and we're getting the hell out of there. And we both agreed that, like, for example, taking care of your physical body, fitness, having a sense of health and, you know, like a healthy attitude and mindset towards life. It's funny because like a year ago, if you would have asked me, oh yeah, like that, would my partner need to be health conscious? Even though I'm health conscious, I would have said, nah, not really. You know, as long as they're there and as long as they they still find me attractive and everything, that's great. But after I've put the work into myself, because the thing is, I said all that, but I didn't really actually put enough work into myself to see the difference. Like now, I'm the leanest I've ever been. I've I've significantly dropped my body fat, and I've gained, you know, I've toned up, I've gained um, quite a bit of muscle. I've I've started to become a lot more athletic, and because I've seen that, I was like, wait a minute, if I'm putting in this kind of work, why would I expect anything less? You know, they always talk about knowing your worth and knowing your value and knowing what you're about and having your shit together. Well, this is that for me. This is like part of the process of having your shit together is taking care of your body. And no, I'm not saying that my girl has to look like an IG model or anything like that. I mean, half of them are fucking fake as it is. I know I'm probably gonna
mm.
hurt some feelings with that comment, but it's the truth, right? It's the truth.
Gotta buy those booty leggings that highlight your ass.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Those ones with like the little crease in them that like go right
Yeah,
up the
the little
crack.
scrunch
Yeah, the little
that
scrunch, and
makes
it's
your
like,
butt look a bit nicer than it is.
yeah, exactly. um, I'm not saying that the like my girl has to be like IG model quality in terms of fitness, but take care of herself, as in, yeah, regulate your weight, because I'm a firm believer that health is wealth. And yeah, I said what I said, man. You know, if you're on either end of the spectrum, if you're morbidly obese or super skinny anorexic, you are not in a healthy state. And that doesn't just affect you physically, that affects you mentally, it affects you emotionally, right? Your energy levels are going to be all over the place. And if I'm regulating that on a regular basis, I would expect the same type of energy to be reciprocated. And the thing is, when I said that, you know, like she was like, yeah, I get it. I feel exactly the same way. Like the other person needs to have a sense of um like health consciousness, right? Because it's also a sense of self-respect. It's self-care, right? Like most of the time when I go to the gym, it's not to look flashy and cool and, you know, become like this aesthetic
It's
god.
not.
Because I mean, it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct. But a lot of the time, I'm there because it's good for my mental well-being, man. It it resets it sort of like resets the meter, you know, especially if I've had like a long stressful day. When I go to the gym and I start doing like calisthenics or whatever, by the time that I leave, it's like all that stress and like all the all the weird emotions. I don't really get stressed so much, but it's just like the that heavy that heavy
Just gets
energy
let out.
just gets dispersed. And I think about, imagine now I'm in a relationship and I'm going home, or I work from home and I've had a heavy day or whatever, and she's had a great day. She's okay, and she's just like happy, cheerful, in a like riding a high wave. I've dealt with like five back-to-back coaching calls. Everybody's miserable and upset, and I'm having to hear this all the time. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And then I come out and I'm in a bit of like a hum because I've got this dense energy that I've been surrounded by for the majority of the day. If I don't go and do something about that, that's going to directly impact my relationship. And the worst thing about that is it's not even to do with me. You know what I mean? So if some sort of like argument or something breaks out because of that, it's like it's based on a factor that doesn't even have anything to do with me personally. It's just I've taken this on board. Mentally, I'm a little tired, I'm a little overtaxed. Whereas if I go to the gym, I break out of that little like cocoon. I come back, I'm revitalized, I'm energetic, and I've worked it out. I've like detoxified the body, and the dynamic then is very different. So that's like one area of the non-negotiable. And like, I think the point that I want to drive back there is knowing, yeah, it sounds so cliche, but it's like, yeah, know your worth after you've really put the work into yourself, because you will discover things that you will not make an exception for. Like, I don't care, nobody gets in the way of that me time that I have. I need time to myself. I need time to read my books and meditate and go to the gym, right? And like, even in like this ideal world, it's like, yeah, okay, like, say like think things take off between this girl and I. We both enjoy doing our own style of training, so it's like you can still do things together, but go off, do your thing. They go off, do their thing. You enjoy that time together, and then you come back. So that's in essence like a direct like correlation to the whole two whole entities coming together, synergizing. Then they can take time apart to do what they need to do, then they come back, instead of,
Mm.
oh yeah, like I'll just tag along with you and just be in your space and be all up in your shit 24/7, not give you a moment to breathe, and and then wonder why you're getting cranky with me. Because I truly believe that while we are social creatures, we also need time apart, because that time allows
Yeah,
us
we need
to
variety.
recoup.
It can't be 24/7.
100%.
Otherwise, at some point, the proverbial mystery disappears. The other
Yeah.
person's no longer mysterious. Like, oh, I've been in your face for 24/7 for the past 3 months. I know
And
everything about you. You're
I
not
know everything.
mysterious anymore. You're not fun
Exactly.
anymore. There has to be some variety.
Has to
That's
be.
not to say you can't be in each other's business. In fact, it's kind of the whole point of a relationship is that you do end up being involved with one another, just not 24/7. Just
More
that
frequently.
you
That's
still
it. Yeah.
have, yeah, you still have time to work on yourself. You still put yourself first. Like we
Yep.
were talking about this earlier. You still put yourself first. I am on my journey. I'm putting myself first. You just happen to be on this journey with me, and we're sharing our thoughts and we're sharing our time together.
Yeah.
It should be the same on the other person's side. The other person should also say, I'm putting myself first. I'm having fun being myself. You just happen to be sharing a path with me, and
Yeah.
we are having fun together. But we are still on our own individual paths that just happen to be very similar paths for some time, whether that's to the to the end of your lives, in which case, congratulations, you have this happy relationship, Disney type. It might be for a month, it might be for for a year, for 10 years, for 50, up until your paths divulge.
Mm.
You should still, and even after your paths divulge, you should still put yourself first. just happens to be sharing the same path with someone else.
Yeah. And while you said that, I just thought that the funny thing about that is it makes absolute sense when you say it like that. And I think everybody who listens
I
to
think I have
this,
a way with words.
yeah, well, I mean, everybody, I mean, it's just it just works. It's like, yeah, everybody says, yeah, I want to be able to come together and do things together, but then also separate and do things on myself, but then know that I can be like I've got someone to basically go back to, etc. And like I've got someone there for me. But the hardest part is there's like this subconscious, unconscious fear that I think so many people have, thinking that if we're not together 24/7, or if we're not, constantly with each other, they're going to find someone else. And
Mm,
that right there says it all. That right there says you're actually not ready for a relationship. I've come to realize just by spending the amount of time that I've been on my own for like a year, like over a year now. And
mm,
I've really been able to use this time to appreciate my own company. And so it is like that. It's like, okay, cool. Whoever I meet, like this girl, for example, things things progress, and we end up like together. That'd be great. That'd be awesome because she's a really cool girl. I know I'm a cool
mm.
guy. She sees that.
Yeah,
Cool.
you are.
Yeah, bro. And that's another thing. It's like the confidence in yourself needs to be there so that irrespective of the outcome, you're still gonna be okay. You are no lesser of a being whether you get together or you don't. And that's how it needs to be. The problem is that I've come to realize, having also lived that type of lifestyle, is it's one thing to say it, it's one thing to be like, yeah, yeah, okay, sure, I understand it. But then when it actually comes to the crunch time and an opportunity presents itself, immediately the mind goes into scarcity, and it's like, oh yeah, well, if I don't seize this opportunity now, someone else will. If I don't seize this opportunity now, they're gonna run off, or their attention's gonna be diverted, or whatever, X, Y, and Z. And that's a telltale sign that you are not safe within yourself. Because when you are safe within yourself, it doesn't matter. And this is the funny thing: when you're safe within yourself and when it doesn't matter, that's when you will actually attract the type of people who resonate of that same energy and frequency, who feel the same way. They're the ones who will actually like stick around long enough for you to
Yeah.
form that healthy bond.
Yeah, and for our audience, we are speaking somewhat metaphorically. We're not saying you literally have to be on the grind 24/7, have to be the best version of yourself all the time, that you can't take time to,
Oh,
maybe I feel like watching Netflix tonight. Maybe I feel like, I don't know, let's say I'm not feeling tip top. Maybe the gym's not the best place to be right now. I'm
yeah.
not feeling a bit sick. Actually, if you are sick, please stay home. Don't spread whatever you have
Yeah,
around.
don't.
Yeah,
We don't need the
you don't have
Rona.
to be on the grind, on the perfect path 24/7. You can take little breaks here and there, and you should expect your partner to be the same. You shouldn't expect your partner to be the perfect being, that they can't have moments of indulgence, that they can't have moments of instant gratification. We're humans. We it's just not, it's not mentally healthy if you're always on the grind. If you're feeling guilty about, like, you're taken to the other extreme, that if you're like, oh bro, if I'm not at the gym, if I'm not like, doing 20 sets or whatever, like if I do 19 sets instead of 20, I'm not, I'm a failure. That's not healthy either, taken to the other extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, like, back to the other point, where you say you're not ready for a relationship if you're like that level of insecure. Yeah, I agree. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try to be in a relationship, because you have to learn somehow. You have to, w- as much as we would like to, come flying out of the gate with perfect everything, being perfectly secure. A
No
lot of
such
times,
thing.
people have to learn. through experience. People have to
Yeah.
learn by being in that less than perfect relationship, having those feelings of insecurity. Then that's when you can learn best, I think. One of the quotes that I really like, I forget the exact quote, but if you Google something like the glass is broken with a monk or something like that, you get this picture where it goes something like, this glass in my hand. I think it's beautiful. It holds my glass, it holds my water very well. When I drink from it, it imparts this perfect texture, this taste. It's a very great drinking cup. And then if I blow on it a certain way, if I tap it, it has this beautiful chime. I appreciate this glass. But I know that if I leave it on the counter and someone accidentally bumps it, or I know I'm butchering this quote, or if I leave it on a shelf somewhere and the wind knocks it over, I know at some point this glass will shatter, it will break. And because I know this, in my mind, the glass is already broken. The cup is already broken. And therefore, every moment that I spend with it is precious. In
Right.
that way,
Okay.
if you think about, I know that was like a bit of a metaphor quote thing, but if you think about it that way with your relationships, that you should let them be free. It's not like a pet, right? Your partner is
Yeah.
not a pet. You don't cage them up so that they're only yours for all of time. You let them be free. And if they choose to come back to you, I'm not saying, go on your dates with 50 other
Yeah.
guys and then
Just send your
realize that I'm
girlfriend to
the
the
best.
streets. Go to the streets,
I'm
babe.
not
Go to
saying
the
that.
streets. Go live
I'm
your
not saying
best
that. But
life.
if you guard them jealously, if you guard them, it's like, oh no, you can't hang out with other guys. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. That's very restrictive.
Yeah.
And if anything, that serves the opposite purpose. Makes them less attracted to you. Makes you look, well, actually, yeah, it makes you look insecure because you are being insecure.
Yeah.
If instead you take the opposite approach, yeah, babe, if you want to do this or if you want to do that, go ahead. That's not saying, oh, if you want to sleep with five other guys, go sleep with five other guys. You have to draw a boundary somewhere, right? You have to say, look, if you really want, you can go to the club. Just know that I don't like it.
Yeah.
And if she goes to the club regardless, I'm not saying this with 100% certainty, but if she's going to the club regardless, knowing that you're in a committed relationship, knowing that you don't like it, but she goes anyways, that's a sign of disrespect. And that's a symptom of a much deeper issue. Why is there disrespect? Why is she not respecting your wishes, your wants? But again, it's not that you're caging her and saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. You have to ask, okay, why? Is this reasonable? For example, if you say, oh, I don't like it when you sing that one song, I don't like that song. Yeah, that's a small thing, right? Like, who cares if let's say I hate the Christmas song and you start to hum the Christmas song.
Yeah.
I'm not going to break up with you over that. That's just like, okay, I don't like the song, but that's a me thing. But if it's something bigger, like, oh, I don't want you, I don't like it when you get all flirty with the other boys, and if she does it regardless, that's something bigger. You draw a line somewhere. If she crosses that line, if you respect yourself enough, you will end that relationship. It's not it's not an ultimatum per se, but a lot of people they think to themselves, yeah, I can do that. I don't want no disrespect. I'm a strong man. I
Yeah.
need my woman to respect me, kind of
Oh
deal.
yeah. Yeah.
But
I
when
know what
push
you
comes
mean.
to shove, a lot of people don't take that step. I know because I used to be in that position. I said, and I was, being on self improvement. We read about self worth, self confidence, that kind of thing. And on paper, I can say, yeah, I would break up. I didn't. I put up with that way longer than I should have.
I think we all have, bro.
And I think, yeah, exactly. Ye-
That's why we're here. That's why people are listening to this.
yeah.
All the
The
broken hearts in
Crying Men
chat right now.
podcast. The Broken Hearted Men
The bro-
podcast.
yeah. We even have a few girls actually. A few girls who listen to this and they're just like, "Yep,
Mm.
Same.
Yeah, it's not a guy thing. It's not just for guys.
It's a
It's for
human
girls
thing. It
too.
happens to both of us. Yeah. And it's
Mm.
also black and white. That's the thing. Also, this whole concept of what to tolerate, what not to tolerate. Like it's not so like every relationship has this different dynamic, right? So take the club for instance. Okay, yeah, we know like typically clubs are more for like students and single people to like just go
Mm.
out, dance, get drunk, and get wild, etc. But it's like, for example, if you know for a fact that like, say, okay, guys, you're in a relationship with a girl who's got a very grounded, very strong sense of loyalty, and the dynamic between the two of you is great. And then her group of friends, she's going out with her group of friends, and her group of friends are also like-minded, and they go to the club. Then by that token, this is just a hypothetical. By that token, they'll be there to just enjoy the moment. They're all say they're all like in relationships or whatever it is, but they're there to look after. They'll be there to look after each other and enjoy that moment because they're celebrating, like, I don't know, one of the girls' birthdays. That is just one hypothetical, right? My my other like sort of alternative would be, if that was the case, I think if we're describing like a very mature relationship, chances are they'd go and celebrate their friend's birthday, by going to like a nice restaurant for dinner. I think that's probably
Mm.
more,
And not the club.
and not the club, right? That's more the realistic thing. But let's just say in the off chance it happens, because it does happen from time to time.
Mm.
Use your sense of discernment to identify whether that is actually like a sign of disrespect, or it's simply just them just looking to have an experience of sharing like their friend's birthday,
Mm.
if that makes sense. But
Yeah, at a
I mean,
club for some reason, but
yeah,
yeah,
at a
I get
club
your
for some
point.
reason, yeah, but it's not all black and white. But yeah, that was just like there for anybody who's just thinking, okay, well, if my girl ever decides to go to the club, ever, I'm gonna break up with her there on the spot. Like, no, dude, like, it doesn't mean that just because she's going to the club that she's, dancing and hooking up with other guys. But one would one would it begs the question: if you're in a committed relationship and you go to a hotspot for lecherous single people, why would you put yourself in a compromising position? It's almost like literally being like,
Kind of asking for it.
you kind of ask, in a way, yeah, you're kind of asking for it.
Mm.
That's, before we get like people, before we get like angry ladies being like, whoa, what do you mean? She's just living her best life. The red pill, toxic masculinity. No, that's like, let's reverse the roles. Let's reverse the roles. It's like, if you're in a relationship with a guy, and then he's going on a lad's holiday, and you've
Yeah, holiday
expressed
with
that,
the boys.
yeah, holiday with the boys. I mean, come on, we all know what that means, right? All single guys, with the exception of your mate, or your guy who's with you, he goes on a lad's holiday, right? Again, discernment. You got to read the room. You've got to understand the dynamic. If you know, if you know the nature of the beast, then you, like, how can you be surprised when they act accordingly, right? So that's another token to go by in order to understand the dynamic of what would be considered disrespectful or respectful in that case,
Mm. Yeah.
because there's always a choice to be made. That's the
Yeah, and even then,
punchline.
with smaller things, like I know we're talking about like a line that shouldn't be crossed here, but even with smaller things that aren't necessarily lines, they're more of a gray area with
Yeah.
blurred lines. Like for example, let's say let's say financially, right? Let's say you're saving up for, I don't know, a house or a car or something, and you're supposed to be saving up, and then one of you splurges and buys a nicer coffee, like I do. Or maybe you buy this jacket that you've had your eye on, or maybe a bag that looks nice. Like, should you do that given your goal is to save up for a house, a car, or whatever? Objectively, no. But it depends on the item. If it's a coffee, no, let's say for example, normally I buy a $4 coffee, and instead today I buy a $5 coffee. Oh no, I've spent 20% more on my no 25% more on my coffee, but it's still a dollar. Versus, oh, there's this cute bag or a nice jacket or whatever, and it's $1,000,
Yeah.
$2,000. Then it's like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, we're trying to save up,
Right?
dude. Like, why are you buying Prada bags and shit?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to be, I kind of had to learn this a few times the harder way. I had this very, very frugal mindset growing up because my grandma,
Oh yeah.
I was raised by my dad's parents. So my grandma, she really, really instilled in me like be absolutely frugal with everything. Such to the point that, if I drop a single grain of rice, if there's a single grain of rice left in my bowl, I would eat it. Like I wouldn't try to, just like I would make sure my plate, my bowl, whatever was clean. So
It's a good
that
habit to have, but at the same time,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. But I will also take it to the extreme to other things. Like for example, like when it comes to rice, or when it comes to like a shared dish. Uh, for a lot of Chinese dishes, is usually you've got like your veggies and meats and stuff in the middle of the table. Everyone has a bowl of rice, and you just grab from the plates. I would grab as little meat and as little veggie as possible so that I can save it, so to speak. And I would just basically have 95% of my meal being rice and then like a tiny bit of meat, a tiny bit of veggie. I would basically stretch it out. And then there's like countless other examples where I would scrimp for 5 cents, 10 cents here and there. I would, I would spend the extra half an hour doing something just to save 50 cents. My perspective on money has changed since then, but even so, I still think I am on the frugal side. Like I would, if I have nothing better to do, I would go out of my way to save a dollar, save $2 here and there. I wouldn't just say, oh, let's say I'm buying some meat or some veggies. I would walk the extra distance, the extra 500 meters to the cheaper shop. I wouldn't just buy it from the local shop, for example.
right.
But I used to be like really, really extreme with that. Like every time we go out of a restaurant, like I didn't want to go, and I would just order the cheapest thing there was. Like I was the cheap guy. I was the frugal guy. That kind of behavior, that kind of behavior in hindsight, not very attractive, right? You want someone to have fun with, not someone who's constantly worrying about every single cent in his bank account, in his wallet. How did we even get here? I was wanted to talk about something else, and then I kind of got
No, no,
sidetracked.
but you know what? Actually, let's sort of roll with it because following on from that, because we're talking about relationships, guys, like especially to the guys who are listening to this, there's a reason why, like the red pill coaches and even go beyond that. Any man worth his salt who's established himself in life will tell you focus on getting your money up, focus on building your own sense of resources, and build your foundations first before looking for relationships, because part of relationships is spending, and this goes from spending it on dates to, like in the extreme case, like buying a house together. Do you see, like, a relationship is not just like this sort of like it's not like a relic that you just pick up and it's just there with you forever. You know what I mean? It doesn't just give you like passive stats as you carry on in life. You have to invest in this skill. You have to constantly
Yeah,
invest and
there's
and
constant maintenance too.
dude, 100%. It's like maintaining a car, right? For anyone who drives, you know for a fact, like, you've got to have your taxes, you've got to have MOT sorted, you need to have money for fuel, then you also need to have money for any potential repairs, you need breakdown cover. Okay, it's the same principle when it comes to maintaining a relationship. Relationship's gonna get to a point where, okay, this is taking a turn in the road, maybe we need to upgrade the wheels. And the wheels metaphorically meaning, let's start looking at being a bit more serious. So then you go on a trip together. That's going to cost money, right?
Mm.
Every relationship dynamic is different by, by all means, but irrespectively, there's always going to be some form of financial investment because that's the currency that governs the world. And it's what brings a lot of security. It brings experiences. And speaking speaking as man to man and man to all the men who are listening to this, women
And the boys and the
and the
girls,
boys. Yeah, the boys and the girls. I mean, look, any girls who are here who are watching this video, please feel free
or
to
just
comment,
listening.
honestly. Yeah, or just listening, right? Um, please feel free to comment. But from my personal experience with women, it's the way in which we look at finances, right? Yes, finances and money, monetary gain, currency, ultimately helps set and root down our foundations. But for men, we see it more as a resource to gather and sort of accrue over time. For a lot of women, the majority of women, it affords them the lifestyle that they want. It affords you, like the decor to to um, outfit your house, to outfit your wardrobe, to be able to go on that trip that you've always wanted to go on, right? To prepare and like upgrade literally the lifestyle. Men just fundamentally we bring that in. We bring
Mm.
finances in. Okay. Now I know I'm kind of like tethering on the verge of like the masculine feminine roles in a relationship, but I think money has that type of energy. Money has a masculine and a feminine energy to it. For the masculine side, it's bringing in stability, support, laying down foundations, building infrastructure. We're literally like fortnighting the shit out of our house right now and just building it up, depending on how
Yeah,
much
being
we
able to provide for your family.
provide for your family. And
I want to pause there.
go on.
For our audience, we're not saying be a simp. We're not saying, oh,
No, no.
buy her fancy bags, buy her this, buy her that. We're not saying be a simp, right? We're not
Yeah,
saying be Mr. Moneybags. We're not saying be what's the other word for it? Basically, you're getting
just
fleeced for your money. Like
yeah, just be
we're not
like a
saying
fucking
attract gold diggers and that's it. That's not what we're
pinata.
saying. And
Yeah,
we're
no,
not
no.
saying for our younger crowd that you can't date just because you don't have a job or you don't have money, right? At every point there's levels to it. Like when you're 13, 14, 15, 16, before the age that you would be expected to have, like even a car, before the age that you even expected to have a job, yeah, you might get some pocket money from your mum and dad. It's like, hey, mum, dad, I'm going out. Can I have some money? Can I have some like $10, $20, $50? And as long as you're not asking for an excessive amount, I'm sure a lot of parents would indulge.
But even then, bro, even
You're
then they'd be
allowed.
like, why? Like, why do you need this money? I mean,
Yeah, to like, I want to buy Macca's.
yeah, I want to buy
McDonald's
Macca's.
date.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like even at such a I was gonna say entry level to dating, right? It's like it's the entry
Upgrade
level
your
to
dating.
dating. Yeah, dude, because like this was literally me, right? So let me just kind of like do a little story time with you. So I was 11 years old. That's when I had my first girlfriend. Primary
Mm.
school girlfriends. You hold
Yeah,
hands in
so
the
doesn't
playground.
doesn't really count, but
Doesn't
like
doesn't really count. I remember my first ever taste of a date was we went to McDonald's, or we planned to go to McDonald's after school, and I was getting pocket money, right? And I remember I would get like £10. I get like £10 a week, and so I was like, okay, well, I want to impress this girl. I want to take her out. I want to buy her McDonald's. And I had already spent some of my £10 for the week, so I think I had something like I had like £4.50. So I had enough to buy myself a meal, but I didn't have enough to buy her a meal. And so I asked my parents, hey, could I have a little bit more pocket money this time? And they were like, why? Like, you had your £10. What have you done with your £10? And I was like, oh, because my friend and I are going to go to McDonald's. And they're like, well, what's wrong with your friend? Why can't you? Why can't your friend just pay for their own meal? And so then I was like, okay, let me spill the beans. And I told them, well, there's a girl, and they were just like, my parents just like laughed about it. But like, they were good sports about it. So they gave me, I think they gave me like £12 instead of £10, and I was like overjoyed. I was like, I'm the richest kid
Mm,
in the school, yeah. And just thinking back to that moment alone, if you want to go out, you want to impress, you or you just want to make a good impression. You just want to actually forget all that. You just want to have a good experience. Money is an enabler of experiences. And you can argue, well, girls earn just as much, or women earn just as much, if not more than men these days, because they're more driven, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Why can't they pay? If they're happy to pay, let them pay. But I'm saying fundamentally, you as a young man, it's not so much about equality and you know balance. It's about learning to take responsibility and accountability for your own actions, especially if you make the proposition, you enable, you set the logistics, you execute. And that like I think as a masculine as like a masculinity sort of lesson helps you solidify sort of strength and confidence within yourself because you know that you have the ability to accrue the resources to enable the stepwise, like literally see the task through on a step by step process, right?
mm.
And that
Set the
actually
plan, execute the plan.
pretty much, and that revolves around like even outside of dating. But since this is on the topic of relationships, that's where it like fundamentally lies. You can set it. You can say, look, this is what I want to do. This is what we're doing. Here are the logistics. Da da da. Set the time. Execute. Facilitate and then
Yeah.
let it go that way. Because I also believe this much. Even in the times that we live in, you know, women want to be wined and dined. Women like to be pursued to
Everyone
some
wants to be
degree.
wined and
Dude,
dined.
everybody likes to be. I love to be. I love to be wined and dined. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody likes that. So if you're also looking to find a partner that's, you know, again, we talk about value and in order to attract value attracts value, right? So in order to attract the high quality partner that you want, you need to also be high quality within yourself. Well, part of showing high quality is, hey, look, I'm prepared to set the logistics for this time, for this date, for us to have a good time together. All right. All you need to do is just be there and let's just enjoy the experience. And
Mm.
it's not even about like worrying about, oh, well, will they offer to pay or not? Because remember, if they're high quality, they will like 9 times out of 10 actually offer to meet you in the middle because funny enough
Yeah.
this date that I went on, she offered to, we went bowling, right? She offered to actually pay me back for the bowling day, and I was like, no, don't worry, this one's on me. But you know what she did do? She bought dinner. She insisted
Mm.
on buying dinner.
Tit for tat. Yeah.
Tit for tat.
Exactly. It shows that she's not just trying to fleece you for your
Exactly.
money. Yeah. Like there's levels to all of this. Like, like I said, when you were 12, 13, 14, McDonald's treating your girl to McDonald's is like, oh, going above and beyond.
You just feel like a
But
man also. You're like, yeah,
exactly.
I
It feels nice to be able to,
provide.
yeah, exactly, provide. But like, taking taking a girl to McDonald's when you're 18, 20, 25, that doesn't cut it anymore. It doesn't feel the same. It's like I don't know if it's like that with you, but so here where I am, Sydney, at 16, you're able to get your learner's license for your to drive a car. And then
17
like
for
the
us.
earliest the earliest that you can get your provisionals license, so we can drive by yourself to and from anywhere, would be if you followed the rules, would be around 17. Maybe 16 and 9 months, I think.
Yeah,
Or
same
maybe
here.
it's 17.
Yeah, it's the same here. 17
Yeah.
for us.
Which means at 17, like you're still in high school. If you're driving your own car to school, You were like the cool kid. Everyone was huddled around your cars, like checking it out. Doesn't matter if it's a piece of shit car. Doesn't matter if it's like a a 5-year-old beat up Toyota.
Like a fucking
The
box
fact
on
is, you're
wheels with an
driving a
engine.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The fact is, you're driving a car when everyone else is walking or taking the bus, taking the train. You're driving a car. You have a mode of transportation. You can go anywhere. So that after school is like, hey, boys, let's go for McDonald's. Let's go to the mall. Let's go bowling. Let's go whatever. You had the mode of transportation. You were, at least for that brief interaction, you're the king. You're the boss. You're the god. And again, like after a while, when you're 20, 25, having a car is just kind of expected. So there are levels to it depending on your age. So don't get discouraged if you're young and go, oh, but I don't have a car, I don't have a house. You're not expected to, right? And then the other point, the other idea that I want to discuss, yeah, we talk about equality in insert year. Like we've been talking about equality, like we as in the broader conversation, the broader social conversation, have been talking about equality for a long time. And every year there's always conversations about, oh, in our time and age, in our era, in this day and age, doesn't matter what year it is. We have to observe social norms. It's not just the fact that, oh, I'm paying because I'm a man, or you know, like a woman is not expected to pay, and equality and equality, masculinity,
Yeah.
feminine. It's not just about that.
Or
Yes,
value.
there is an element of masculinity, or sorry, equality, I should say. There is an element of that. That's like, why is the man expected to pay in the first date? And who knows, maybe 15, 20, 50 years later, that might change. Maybe the norm would be everyone goes Dutch, pays 50-50 or something like that. But if you solely focus on the money, which I did for a long time, you're missing the forest for the trees. You're tunneling so much on just the money aspect that you are showing that you're not socially calibrated, because it's not just money. It's showing that, yes, I understand the dating norms. I understand our societal norms. I understand that in situations like this, I'm expected to act in this kind of way. You're expected to act in that kind of way.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just like how everyone puts their best foot forward on the first date, on the first few dates. Yeah, it'd be nice to be just like rocking up in a singlet, sweatpants, and just lounge around. It's like, yeah, I'm being comfortable, I'm being myself. Yeah, it would be nice.
Sure, yeah. I
But
mean,
it shows that you're a bit uncalibrated, a bit socially uncalibrated, if that's what you do on the first date.
yeah.
Similarly, if you make a big fuss about paying or not paying, making the other person pay on the first date, it shows that in one way or another, you're a bit uncalibrated. It's not just the money. Yes, it is about money, but it's not just the money. And similarly, it can be used as a, again, depends on your society. Right now, we're speaking English. We have this Western view, Western society, but could be different everywhere. We can use it as a litmus test for the girl. Does she at least offer to pay? Does she at least bring out her wallet? Is it a weak, oh, I guess I could pay if you asked me to? Or is it, no, let me pay, right?
How
Maybe
much do
it's
I
a
owe you?
second date or a third
Let me
date.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, like let me pay kind of thing. Or in your case, like you paid for bowling, she paid for dinner automatically without, oh, I guess I could pay for dinner if you want me to. You
Yeah.
can use that as a litmus test.
Oh, I didn't know it's expected. It's like, it's not about that. It's the
Yeah,
principle of respecting
exactly.
my
Mm,
time and respecting the effort that I've put into setting this up. That's what it
mm,
stands for. You know, the money, yeah. This is like a almost like a CEO like talk, because I hear a lot of successful businessmen talk about money in this sense. Money is to be respected. So the exchange of money is like the exchange of power and respect. When you bring that into a dating dynamic or a relationship dynamic, even in relationships, man, it's like just because you get into a relationship doesn't mean that all of a sudden that it swings one way or the other. You still meet in the middle and say, okay, cool. You got dinner this time, I've got dinner the next time, or at least acknowledge that by saying, hey, you know what, this bill's a bit high. Let's split it. Okay, cool. You know, there's
mm,
um there's there's a sense of appreciation. That's the word I was looking for. Appreciation that is acknowledged and demonstrated in the act of like presenting your wallet and saying, "Hey, I will pay for this," or "Let me get this." That's what it means to me personally, anyways.
Mm. And also the social calibration thing,
100%.
because if like after 5 dates, the girl or the guy, it's 2022, we don't judge.
There's some bummy
If
dudes out there, man.
someone doesn't, yeah, if someone doesn't even bother asking to pay or offering to pay, is just kind of expecting the other party to pay. At that point, it feels like a gold digger. It
Mm.
just feels like, no, you're not dating me for me. You're just dating me for free meals.
It's sad. It's sad that that's how it comes. That's what it comes to,
Mm,
from time to time. But again, those are classic, like we call them red flags. I would say those are like your combat indicators that you know this person is not in a position to give you a healthy relationship, nor are they in a position to actually have one with themselves. So, you know, discernment is
mm,
the ultimate. Discernment's your best weapon, honestly, when it comes to vetting people out. And
yeah.
in my personal experience, like even now, the vetting process is still ongoing. Previously, I didn't really vet. I didn't vet very well. That's why I got into sticky situations. So I got into situations where I felt like I was either being used financially, emotionally, just for my attention. Um, but that's why we improve. That's why we identify. That's why we introspect, and we put deliberate thought and action into changing our behavior to be the best version of ourselves for ourselves. You keep that up, you'll start to attract that in someone else.
So that you also attract the best version of others. Because when you're not when you're not confident in yourself, you don't believe that you can attract a high quality partner. You end up taking the first thing that comes your way. So, oh, I guess I'll settle for this. I guess I'll settle for that. You don't end up you end up not believing in what you're capable of. So that you end up, like you said, in sticky situations because you never respected yourself. How do you expect others to respect you if you don't respect yourself? If you put up with others, if you put up with the bullshit from other people, they know that you will tolerate their bullshit and they'll keep throwing it at you.
Yeah. Should we close it
Yeah, I
down
think,
for now? We've
think
covered a hefty amount, man, and
mm,
I think this was a good talk though. Like it was a good thing that we separated the concept of creating the dynamic to have healthy relationships in all spheres of your life, and then really focusing in on interpersonal like relationships, specifically romantic relationships, because my belief is they are different in a way, because it, especially with romantic relationships, you show an intimate side of yourself to the other person that the rest of the world doesn't see, but the way that you apply yourself in the same way in all those fields will directly affect like the quality of relationship that you have. So in
mm,
closing, my thoughts are, um, yeah, you just need to honestly be be the person that you want to attract. When you find that you are comfortable with yourself and you've really started to appreciate yourself, you find it easier to find comfort and appreciation in other people, and you'll attract that
yeah,
in kind.
you're
That's
definitely
my
right
belief.
that interpersonal, as in romantic relationships, does deserve its own topic because whilst it is a relationship just like any other, if you subscribe to the monogamous relationship paradigm, basically one partner at a time, it is the person that you spend the most time with. It is the person that you share the most details with. It is in a way, the pinnacle of relationship. as in any kind of relationship, because you have a relationship with your friends, with your coworkers, with your parents, with, well, I guess that you probably do spend a lot of time with parents too, but with people on on your level, on your cohort, on your peer group, your partner is the one that you spend the most time with, is the one that you share the most details with, and vice versa as well. So whilst you can kind of change friends like you change your wardrobe, oh, I don't like this friend anymore, toss them out, get a new one. You can't really do the same. Oh, I mean, in a way, you can with a partner, break up, get a new one, but it is a much larger commitment. You've already invested a fair bit of time. Actually, on the topic of vetting, before you even invest a lot of time, there is a stage of vetting. And I know everyone puts their best foot forward on the first few dates so that you don't see the flaws. Everyone only presents, it's kind of like a job interview. You present your resume, you don't say, oh, I was shit at this, I was shit at that. No, you say, I was good at this. I'm good at Excel, I'm good at Microsoft Word, I'm good at this program or that program. You don't say, I was terrible at this. I had a fight with my boss. You put your best foot forward. So the vetting process isn't like, oh, first date, she seems cool, done. It's an ongoing process before you invest even more. Just like with the age thing, with a relationship, there are levels. Like at first, it's like, I'm just getting to know you, you're just getting to know me. We're going on a date or two, but nothing's really set in stone. And then as you go on a few more dates, like, oh, what are we? Are we getting more serious? And then a few levels up, oh, we're moving in together. A few levels more, we're getting married, we're having kids, we're making life changing decisions together, buying a house, moving to new country, etc., etc. Before you move on to the next level, you do the vetting to make sure they're worthy, whatever that means to you,
Yeah.
they're worthy of that next level. All right. Shall we wrap things up?
Yep. I think that's a good place to cut it off. So thanks for
Yeah.
listening in, guys, and we will catch you in the next episode.
That's it from us.